Welcome everybody. I hope you got your tools ready because in today's video, we're gonna be building your foundation as a Jobava London player. I prepared 7 very important themes that any Jobava player needs to know in order to be successful. So I'm talking about very common lines such as what to do when they play symmetrical, like bishop to f5, or how to properly refute the two knights, or as well as how to handle the move e6, which a lot of the low rated players tend to get wrong. And of course, there will be more than that. So please make sure to watch the whole video where I'm gonna be walking you through my thinking process as an international master, explaining why basically everyone sucks and you should win every single game. I mean, jokes aside, you will learn how to punish a lot of the typical mistakes that players below 1700s make. Alright everybody, getting another game with the white pieces. Gonna be sticking with our beloved Jobava London. And what's that knight f6? Is he gonna be playing the King's Indian? No, it's back in the standard territory. And let's see what he has in mind. Oh, he plays bishop to f5. Okay, bishop f5 is very interesting because it is like super common for like all rating ranges. And what do you want to remember when they play bishop to f5? Well, the bishop, it's like, walking out in a sunny day outside, and all of a sudden it starts raining. And it's gonna be raining with pawns onto this poor bishop that forgot his umbrella at home. And you're gonna be winning a lot of time with that. And then we just get a pretty nice attacking position. Or at least in theory, in practice, maybe trickier. But we'll see. Starting with g4. Normally they just go back. I have in like another video, they go back to c8, which is like super strange, but you can check that one out. I'll leave like a video onto the screen that you can click. And here, threatening to win the piece, you can do h6 or h5. Both are doable. And now I like to delay playing h5 just because in the future, we may want to have this option of taking back with a pawn once we long castle and the rook is defended, because you don't want to blunder both rooks after watching my videos. That will result in pretty terrible feedback and may cause side effects. So just gonna play bishop to d3. That's simplest move, creating a big threat, by the way, for low rated players. They just ignore, play moves like 97 and allowing you to take with queen d3, targeting massive weakness is gonna be giving white an easily winning position. And as a rule of thumb, in this structure, I generally recommend to take with the queen. However, taking with the pawn is also an option, especially in the structures where h5 is played. Then taking with the pawn is more interesting, I would say. But for beginners, I would really recommend you take all the time with the queen. That's easiest to remember. Otherwise, it gets very confusing. So on bishop to d6, this is actually a very important theme to understand, because in the Jobava London, you get this tension quite regularly. And here, the key rule to remember is you want to take back on f4 with a knight. So you can do either knight e2 or knight h3. And ideally, you prefer to have the knight in the center, as long as it's not blocking the bishop on f1. So if let's say your opponent plays bishop d6 earlier, you may have to play knight h3 just to keep the bishop open to do bishop d3. But now we already don't have that problem anymore. And I get some of the low-rated students asking, I don't get why the queen is played on d3. The queen is not doing anything on this square. Well, let's see. Is it doing anything or not? Is he gonna take? I mean, taking would be not ideal to say the least, because the queen may activate. Just saying. But let's see what opponent is playing. Because whenever they castle short under this pawn structure, it is definitely gonna backfire. I don't think it's what the doctor ordered. Okay, knight to h5. That is actually best defense by him. Now question is, shall we take on d6 or shall we take there? By the way, main point is that if he was taking twice, moving the knight like all the people would do, there is mate. Because rook opens up and king is checkmated. So you can easily win the game in like 13 moves like that. Knight h5, however, if I do gh, he wants to take bishop f4. Ah, and then we have the key move. Okay, watch out. This is instructive. So, oh, he plays g6. That's good for him. In case he was going bishop f4. I was about to do g7, but I forgot there is bishop g3 check actually. But even that might be good because there is rook g1. So I think would have worked anyways, but it was not really the way I planned it. Okay, now we just have simple play. Could have done that in the first place as well. That was just the easier option. Get rook onto the open file before he could do knight anywhere. Knight is there, so got a little pin going. See that the queen on d3 is doing a lot of work. Plays f5, but that's weakening g6. So it's kind of good for now that it's blocking the diagonal, but creates long-term problems. So yeah, it's like a temporary solution, but definitely not something super advisable. Okay, gonna collect the free pawn. Problem is opponent still did not get to use any of those pieces. And yeah, if I could get my queen onto the other side of the board, that would pretty much be decisive. However, we got another very interesting idea. I mean, there's many things we can do. Just e4 opening things up really feels like should be crashing though, creating big threat of ef. And if he opens up the whole thing, queen is gonna be coming with decisive effects. And yeah, I actually saw knight f4, but I thought it shouldn't be a problem because it allows rook g7. Maybe that was not very precise. Because after takes, take with the rook, he has king h6. Okay, I mean, we have knight f4 as a move, queen e3, there's like many alternatives. Oh, what am I saying? Queen e3 is not an alternative. Knight does move backwards, so remember that pro tip as well. So I think we pretty much have to take and go king b1. Yeah, we still have our pretty nice mating attack going. Knight e2 now becomes a thing. We managed to exchange one of the main defenders of Black's position, the h5 knight. So I think this is definitely a step into the right direction. He played active, but yeah, once again, I think it may backfire. Taking, no need to worry about the back rancor. And yeah, take with a knight. I'm like one step closer to play e5 and open up this diagonal. Actually, ed will do it by gaining time. So queen can also swing to the g file in some positions. Yeah. Okay, why can't I just take queen f1, knight d1 there? Hello? You have no mate. This becomes a problem. Just threatening mate into moves. It's gonna be double check and then mate. So I feel like queen f5 is only move, but just leading to a lost endgame for my opponent. Queen to f5 and oh, he tries that. Kind of like his last bullet, but we have knight backwards, so he probably forgot that the knight moved backwards. What a concept, I know. And okay. Taking 3 pawn, just need to make a Luft soon, not to get mated, and this game should be very much decided. I'm gonna do queen f3, creating a pin, and if that, e7 wins more material. Yeah, has to guard everything, and he's unable to pick up the rook. Come back with a queen, keeping in the mating net, and then we do the little ladder mate. Boom. Then we get a checkmate. So, okay, I'm curious what the score for this game was. I would assume it was like relatively okay played. Oh, we got a 94. The game was yeah, unexpectedly good because you remember I had this little hiccup where I thought, okay, if like knight f4, bishop f4, I thought we have hg7 as a clever move. Oh, sorry, that just Didn't work as planned. So here, I mean, I have easy move to take, and I'm always safe and better. But I was wondering, can we do hg7? Like initially, I thought he's forced to do this, and we made progress. But is the check helpful? Like maybe king d2 or e2. I don't know. And he's gotta like move the rook, because this just instantly wins. Boom. So he has to play like rook e8. I mean, but then let's say we start pushing. This just looks very nice. Even rook g1 better. It's like bishop's force back, and yeah, this is just literally crashing. +2. So this was fine, but once again, if you cannot really figure out whether this initiative is working, I just wanted to show you that there is this idea of having intermediate move, which a lot of people usually miss. But there's of course easy way to play this. You can just do something like this, and then castle and white is typically much better without having to like sacrifice anything. So with that being said, I think we can move on to the following game. All right, everybody, getting another game with the white pieces. Gonna be playing d4 and trying out our little Jobava London. Important to start with the knight because some people still forget about that. And okay, very interesting to see that opponent plays aggressive e5. Which is not such a bad line, not such a bad line as you may think at first. And the key move in this position is actually something that's not natural at all. That is knight b5. Just, you know, the knight seems a little bit loose, but after c5 we have important move to play a4. A4 is nice there, because after a6 we have easy maneuver for the knight. And on knight c6, I'm already not super sure. I think this is inferior move just because the pawn on d4 is going to be very costly for my opponent to keep. That pawn on d4 is literally like having a very expensive car. Like, I have to pay a lot of money in the first place, but then it costs a lot to like really keep it unless, you know, you never wash it or something. I'm just kidding, obviously. Who washes cars? Anyways, gonna go knight takes on d4 on the next move, and yeah, I don't think he's got any any activity going. I think this opening was a total fail for my opponent, which yeah, you know, it could give him interesting play if you're somewhat surprised, but I was somewhat aware of this. Oh, and there is actually another trap that he's waiting for. This is exactly like the Rosen trap. I go knight c6, he has intermediate move there, so don't go that, because you lose, because of bishop f2. So I'd be tempted to play bishop e3, just because I want to go knight c6 and exchange a bunch of pieces and have my queen defended in the process. So yeah, just exchanging, boom, take there, take all the pieces, up to pawns. Should be a relatively easy conversion. Just gonna trade them all. Now time to open up the bishop. Could also fianchetto. That's not like too bad. I'm actually just gonna fianchetto because I feel like pawn could be a target. You don't have to do that by any means, but just like a nice little detail. Thinking of knight d4, knight e5, bishop b7. So we get to improve the pawn structure in case he takes, just defending everything. And yeah, huge pressure on c6, threatening to go for the fork. Hitting these two bad boys, and on knight to e5, probably taking, and bishop b7. Seems very uncomfortable for my opponent to deal with in case he takes and plays like long castle. I think we just may be going e3. A lot of people may forget about long castle in this position, but it's not like it was really game changer here. Just gonna continue with the strategy of trading bishops in case he was exchanging, and now we just wanna use the outpost. Yeah, so he castles. Interesting idea, rook d7 sometimes. Like rook d7, you can pin him, but he can also take with the king. So just gonna keep it simple. Usually, when you already have two extra pawns, you shouldn't really try to sacrifice stuff. Like sacrificing when you're already winning, it's super unnecessary. So you only sacrifice if you're for sure. I mean, if you know for sure this is gonna end the game very soon, or you clearly have it planned out. Because if you sacrifice in positions when you're not supposed to and you already have a free win, it will have a dramatic impact onto your win rate. So yeah, just keep that little idea in mind. Okay, I have a chance between playing like e4 and then try to maneuver the bishop or play e3, same idea. I may just stick with e3 because I still do back and forth with the bishop. E4 will kind of block this diagonal and we're not really trying to push because pawn becomes weak. Uh, yeah, I'm trying to come up with like the best way to convert this. Okay, I'll just start with h4, just a nice little move. Expanding. Then I think we might be bringing the king. I think bringing the king may be very useful for this structure. Okay, he starts trading. Happy to do so. If he takes with the bishop, bishop endgame is a walk in the park, and taking with the pawn just created another weakness. Yeah, just use the outpost again. Try to bring the king. Next up, bishop h3, potential idea to keep in mind. Okay, bring the king. A lot of people, even in this rating range, like 17, 1800, oh, should have played b4. Fixing the pawns would have been a nice technical move. Now, not so much, because he's going to get counterplay with rook a8. But maybe we can just keep trying to infiltrate. Like king d4, king b6 is kind of a cold shower. Just going to start by targeting. Yeah, a lot of people in this rating range really underestimate and just don't use their king enough in the end games. That is really, yeah. Just look at this. Now I can do that because king b6 is no longer an option because the bishop remains undefended. And now on g5, I feel like we have a very instructive play. So feel free to pause the video and try to find it on your own. Because I think this may be going a little bit unnoticed by most of the people. It's a very nice combo that you want to have because it's very natural to think, okay, we take towards the center. But the key idea is to take it this way because after that you have a pawn push and you just get a deadly passer. Just look at this. Pawn is reaching 7th rank, which means his rook is going to be completely tied down to defend it. Or he'll allow me to promote. I mean, I guess we'll find out soon. Yeah, just h7 has to do rook h5. He actually played the smart idea, just getting the rook behind, but I don't think it's gonna be enough to save him. Just bishop g6. And then we literally collect the g pawn. And then do king walk to g7. Cannot take the bishop because we promote, so yeah, I think we just king walk at this point. He has no way to get any counterplay. It may be instructive to even sacrifice for the bishop in case he goes there. That's gonna be an idea soon. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get the sack for the bishop. Like rook d7, and then, yeah, already we have... we can even just play bishop h5, but just to illustrate how powerful this construction is, I'm gonna sacrifice and do bishop h5, and he has literally no way to stop me from winning. And on bc, there is no rush. We can just recap and then promote still. So, yeah. Opponent kind of realizing what is about to happen. He decides to go into kind of like a last bullet sacrifice. I don't know what that was meant to accomplish. Anyways, just gonna be, I guess, bringing my king. Okay, 1800s. Fighting on! We're gonna get queen d3, mate. Oh, never mind. No queen d3, mate. So take and then try to mate on d4. That is gonna be the play. And I don't think he can stop it even at this point, so... yeah. Just waiting for him to make one more move, and... key idea for this whole game was to avoid the trap that he was setting up with. It was actually pretty sneaky. It's something that you can easily miss. When he played knight to c6, remember, into that position. So first of all, On d4, knight b5 is strong, and c5, a4. That's what the computer likes. And then your knight is rerouting, and black doesn't have a whole lot of compensation for the pawn. Then when he did it this way, it's important not to play this move because of bishop f2. And your only move is to take, but then queen d1 and you lose the queen. So this would have been pretty unpleasant, and just bishop e3. I felt it was kind of like a nice little idea to force trades. And then he could do fianchetto, he could do whatever, and why they just up too many pawns. And in case in the end game, just for those of you that are wondering if he was not playing rook e6, I think I was about to just do something like rook to d3 and then try to bring my king. Actually, a pretty cool idea that I think of now. You remember that my main issue in this position was that, okay, if we trade both rooks, it's GG, it's game over, it's king and pawn endgame, that's one. Now that I think about it, a nice way to achieve that could be to bring the king like all the way to h2 and then play bishop h3. That's literally forcing all the pieces off. And remember, in the meantime, opponent does not have any ideas, like he cannot play active, he's completely tied down. Like even rook e7 blunders bishop c6, so this is something he needs to pay attention. And let's just say he plays waiting moves, I guess. Yeah, like rook back and forth. You can literally walk your king. Boom. This is the nice thing about the endgames, is that if you see the whole picture, then it just works. And yeah, like he stays like this, you play bishop h3, he's forced to take. You exchange everything and then take the bishop at the end, and you just have 2 pawns in the king and pawn endgame. That's just a very easy and straightforward win. So with that being said, I think we can really move on to the following game. Alright everybody, getting another white game. Let's enter our little Jobava London, and hopefully opponent's gonna go knight f6, and we actually get one of the most standard positions for the whole variation, and typically bishop to d6 is what I would be expecting the most within this rating range, but we do get to face knight e6, where it's important to start by playing e3, opening up path for the bishop, and almost 90% of the times they're gonna be playing c6, hitting the knight, and we already have a threat of eliminating their knight, and I think this is gonna be potentially very instructive because my opponent is really gonna go hard after this pawn. And one of the main ideas that you wanna remember whenever you're facing something like this is that typically you wanna just give up on that pawn. So gonna castle, gonna do exactly that. And okay, now basically our main argument is saying that his bishop is pretty trash, restricted by all of these pawns on the light squares, and maybe we even have ideas like bishop to d6 to keep his king in the middle. I'm just trying to sort of recall what is like the optimal way of yeah, playing this position. Would be 95 a move, targeting the pawn. 95 is definitely something that's very standard, I would say. Also like rook b1 with 95, and then maybe rook b3. So lots of thematic ideas. I think 95, it's the way to go, just because I'm kind of tying down his queen to defending c6. And then I want to play rook b3, which is really gonna make it almost impossible for him to defend c6. And the move like bishop to d7 allows a very annoying rook infiltration. So let's see what opponent has in mind to do against this. He's almost paralyzed, which is the fun part about this whole variation. Like, he was very happy capitalizing on the pawn, but besides that, there's not so many things he can be proud of. So yeah, just takes the pawn on a2. Really asking, really asking me for a queen trap. I wish I could trap his queen, but I don't quite see it. Also, by the way, funny move in some positions, knight b8, completely paralyzing and restricting my opponent's pieces. I'm not gonna play it now because it's kind of nonsense, but imagine if I had two moves, 95 queen d3, then that's a queen trap, I think. Rook a1 and then rook b1. Sadly, just does not work like that. Hmm. Okay, maybe we don't actually have like a queen trap, and we should perhaps just stick to more like common sense play, if that makes any sense. But actually, I like the move c4. Giving up another pawn for like no particular reason, but I feel like queen c4 95 just makes it very hard for the queen to find any squares. So he starts with bishop to d7, which is logical move. How about knight b8? Is that so terrible right now? There is simply queen c4. So knight b8, I think, fails to get what we want. Hmm. Knight b4, queen c4. Also, don't see how that should help. Knight e7 check. Don't think it's leading to anything huge. Knight e7 c5 could be interesting. However, because the pawn gets pretty dangerous. I'm gonna go knight e7 just because we may be getting a checkmate with a queen sacrifice. If everything plays out in our favor, it's definitely not looking like it's gonna happen. At least the way I see the situation right now. But hey, maybe in like a parallel universe. Yeah, I can do the move rook to b7. That's probably asking for bishop to b5, hitting my other rook. So knight e4 is strong move by him. I think we play queen h5 here. Just trying to get some pressure, and knight e2 we have rook a1. Sort of dodging a bullet. And if we could somehow get like a rook to h3, I could sacrifice the queen already. Like just imagine I had a rook to sacrifice. That would have been brilliant. But maybe we will. Who knows? So rook a1, counter attack. Queen goes to c4. Gonna use the other rook. Yep, I think that's the play. Could also attack his knight. If we attack the knight, I feel like attacking the knight could be a little bit better. If we attack the knight, maybe it just goes back to like e4. I think rook c1 is better because of c6. Perhaps. Okay, queen b5. And now the question is, how do we trap this guy? I want to go for like a good move as well. So perhaps c6 is the best move. Knight b3, rook b1 should be okay for us. Like c6, maybe bishop e8 is somewhat annoying. So okay, I think I'm just gonna play the move e4. Hitting the knight, inviting knight to b3. Okay, he takes it with the knight, and I'm gonna do rook a3. I've got all my money on this checkmate, which he does not allow. Oh my god, I think this guy knows what we're trying to do, which is just sad. It is just super sad. He's gonna go queen f6 if he allows it. Come on, queen f6. Queen d2. We gotta go rook f1. Only 3 seconds. Can we get it? Oh! Oh! There we go! Queen h5 only move and managed to get a checkmate. So checkmate on h7 as promised. Now, I definitely had to sacrifice a little bit of the objective evaluation of the position. But I really found out that this motif could be pretty fun. Like getting checkmate when knight covers this. So I had this position in mind already when I went for knight e7. I saw that, okay, if the knight is not there and somehow I could sacrifice my queen and then I bring a rook, that's checkmate. Now, obviously, bishop e5, by the way, is super strong move because whatever he does, say he does no move, there is queen f6 idea. And this is another funny checkmate. All right, everybody, getting the white pieces yet again. Gonna stick with the Jobava London. And we actually get to face the Dutch. How interesting. Because, like the Dutch is not an opening that you see very often, but is always somewhat annoying. So I recommend you go for a very cheeky approach. Well, knight c3, bishop f4, Jobava London setup works. I think it's even better if you start with this somewhat trappy idea of playing bishop g5. In case of knight f6, we take, and in case they go for the bishop chase, they could literally get checkmated in 5 moves. Like f4, we play e3. They take the seemingly free bishop, queen h5 is a checkmate, but don't you worry, I'm gonna show that in the post analysis tab. So after knight f6, just gonna be taking that, doubling up their pawns, and there's actually, I think, 2 interesting ways of playing this type of position. So there is the positional one to go c4 and like knight c3, knight f3, queen c2, I guess, bishop d3, short castle. Or there's the more, somewhat aggressive one, like knight c3, bishop d3, queen f3, knight e2. I'm actually, just for fun, I'm gonna be doing the knight c3 one because it's, hey, maybe a little bit more helpful for those Jobava players out there. You really like having the knight on c3, don't you? So yeah, gonna go queen f3, hitting the pawn, typically forcing a move like g6. And okay, opponent giving up on the free pawn. I'm not gonna be taking it just for educational purposes. I'm gonna go knight e2. Hopefully he defends it with g6. Sooner or later, yeah, he plays queen d7. Awkward move to make, but yeah, that's pretty awkward. Look at that queen d7 move. It's like you're trying to get closer to a dog for the first time before you pet him. You play queen d7. It's very blocking the bishop. Kind of meh. I'm just gonna be castling long. And then one idea to keep in mind is h3, g4 to undermine this pawn onto f5 whenever you are playing this setup against the Dutch. Now, opponent probably preparing b5, but that does look like pretty slow plan. And I'm happy to give up on the pawn because we open up the h file for the bishop. So this is typically just giving white huge attacks. Yeah, here automatic move is to take. Also, you wanna stop for a second and double check whether there is any interesting move like bishop takes on h7 could actually work. So okay, how do we play this? How do we play this one out? There's also bishop c4. That's very interesting. I think we start bishop c4 actually. I think that's the play. Forcing king in the corner. Then after hg, we have maybe ideas like rook h7. So he takes immediately. Which, yeah, I'm not super sure it's such a good move because it's opening up a lot of files for our pieces. And now it's just a matter whether you can make rook h7 work or not. So king takes, rook h1, king to g6. That's how the variation plays out. We have knight f4 check, or, rook g1 at least to win back the queen. I think that should work, honestly. I think we're just gonna play it and we'll try to... Oh, actually, I think we have something even nicer. Look at this. You have no idea what's gonna appear on the board. This is gonna be so good. It's gonna be like the best "oh no, my queen" ever created. I'm gonna go knight f4. Forget about calculating concrete lines. Just knight f4. I'm gonna be like, oh no, he can take this queen. Oh no. And with this, I'm introducing a threat of taking on g4 and then knight g6. So he takes the free queen. Just imagine this person, OKLLW, thinks, okay, I'm gonna just blunder the queen. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna cash in my rating points and I'm gonna carry on with my day. But boom, there is knight g6 checkmate. Literally, king is trapped in the corner. There's nothing you can do. And his position was lost anyways. I'm just making a case for this just because it was funny. But I think after knight f4, he's like completely busted. Look at it with a computer like +4. He has nothing to do. So, yeah, facing the Dutch, try out this bishop to g5 little idea. And in case your opponent is, just, a Dutch beginner thinking he trapped your bishop, then you have a3 and you win. Winning a pawn, and in case he persists with his sort of aggressive approach, that is just queen h5, ending the game on the spot. 6 moves, checkmate. So, yeah, keep that in mind. In case they go for knight f6, which what I think most of the people will do, this setup with queen f3, knight e2, getting pieces like this against the Dutch, castling long with h3, g4 is definitely quite dangerous. So with that being said, I think we can move on to the following game. All right, everybody, getting another game. Gonna be sticking with our guns here, and we do get to face the England Gambit. How nice! Gonna be accepting, and he plays the d6 England Gambit. Now, this is not really Fury, but the point is not to make any concessions for no reason against the England Gambit. So, plays knight c6, attacking it. I'm just gonna defend it. I'm not taking on d6 for no reason. I'm just trading in our terms. Like, that is one of the biggest problems most people have while dealing with the England Gambit. They just think, okay, it's bad, and they win by default, and they start making inferior moves. So bishop g4, now it makes sense to take because we're gonna be able to create him an isolated pawn. That's completely different story. He's not gonna be getting like the free bishop development, and he takes there. I can take back the bishop. I think that's a simple move. Opening up bishop's path. It's funny, we almost have like a reverse Tartakova in the position. Yeah, gonna exchange bishops and trading queens if possible, since we do have the extra pawn, so endgames are, of course, very nice. Gonna start with knight c3, preparing long castle, already initiating some pressure on that weak pawn. So not only that we have extra material, we also have something to play for, which is really, really nice. Obviously, white is already close to winning. I mean, close to winning, maybe a little bit of an understatement. So, yeah, where should we place our bishop? I think c4, just kind of restricting the pawn from pushing, because then we can take. And gonna keep it very simple. Just double up on the file. Try to win the yeah, isolated pawn. It is that simple. And on b5, we can go back with the bishop. Can also use some basic calculation and go rook d6 and just create a stronger threat. So yeah, knight a5, hitting the bishop. Now we'll have to retreat. Gonna go to b3. Could also go to like d5, just trying to dominate his knight. d5 is a funny move. I'm just gonna stick to bishop b3, just a little bit simpler, expecting him to take and then maybe play like knight e8. But the problem is that he's not gonna be able to hang on to the pawn forever, because there is knight e4, and black is no longer having any ways of further defending the pawn. And yeah, just one pawn from the opening, managed to win his main weakness as well. And this is really, the England Gambit is not really about knowing how to refute it or, yeah, knowing the theory. It's just about the mindset. Because most people think, oh, England, ooh, what is that shit? I'm facing this again, gotta just beat it. And then they think of it as such an inferior opening, and they just lose focus on the game and start playing bad moves. Typical bad move in the opening there. When d6 happens, white players just take, and then maybe they even block their own bishop for no reason, and they make more passive moves, and all of a sudden black castles long and has great attack. So I've seen this times and times again. I'm gonna go knight e4, which is a cheeky move, trying to trade more pieces and inviting him to take and improve my pawn structure. Also setting up a small trick, and you see that if they want to avoid the trades, they have to make inferior moves. So placing knight on the edge, wants to do maybe knight f4, so I'm just gonna do g3. Case of f5, knight g5 is pretty nice. Just gonna further activate, hitting the pawn on b7, and you know, rook on the 7th rank is usually like the ideal place for the rook, and expecting b5. Could try to hunt down that pawn now. Could also play a move like knight d6, hitting both rook and pawn. Probably forcing him to play something like rook to f8. I think at this point, we already have a passed pawn, so may very well just start advancing it. It's not really about the fact that we need to win more material. When we already have such a nice lead, we may just very well start taking some concrete actions, and you know, within like the next couple of moves, the c pawn is gonna become very dangerous. And also, we could go for cheeky ideas like rook f7, knight d6. Although rook f7 he's not forced to take, so he may go bc. So for that reason, I think we just stick with advancing. Yeah, knight f6, ready to trade now. Make sure not to lose the pawn on c5, so I'm gonna play b4, overprotecting everything. And the next part that I'm about to do is what most of the lower rated players really have a hard time implementing in their own game, which is bringing your king. My king is already into the um, middle of the board, so it's quite handy to get the king over the queen side. But just notice I'm basically playing with an extra piece just because his king is not on the side where, let's say, all the battle is taking place. So, I mean, there's a million ways to win it. I can just collect his pawns. I'm gonna just try to show you why using your king can be such an effective tool in the end game. So king d5, c6. Just look how nicely the king is gonna be supporting the pawns. Like his rook is almost having a hard time finding any squares on the board because my king is constantly harassing it. So yeah, a3, I'm just gonna take that, getting rid of any potential counterplay. I could also do c7 and yeah, that's a stronger threat because it will win his rook if we get to play it. He could actually do ab2, but then we can promote and play queen c2 at the very least, not to mention queen a6 also wins there. And yeah, just look at the king. Big difference. King on d5, king on g8. So this is literally you after you subscribe on the channel and you if you don't. So pretty handy win against the England. Don't wanna make this like too long since I feel like the England is not really a critical step into let's say your improvement as a chess player overall. Like how to beat the England is not gonna make you climb hundreds of points, but just this concept of okay, he plays d6. Why do I need to take? Sure, like we're up a pawn, but we trade, but no, just trade in your own terms. Trade in like better conditions, you know. Whenever they ask you whether you want to buy any drugs, you always say no. Because you're going to get a better price. Same story here. Just play knight f8 defending. And that is just a joke, obviously. I don't encourage anybody to consume anything. So, uh, with that being said, I think we can move on to the following game. All right, everybody, getting another white game. Gonna be trying out Jobava London, hopefully, in case we don't get hit with any other like strange gambits. And there we have it. Starting position of the Jobava London, 1700 rated person named Real Magnus Carlsen, 0104. The real Magnus Carlsen just allows instant victory by us playing knight b5, which is pretty funny. He has to go e5. I don't know what he's thinking about. Gonna take with a pawn, hit a knight, and probably knight h5. Also, knight e4 is a move. Knight e4 would allow a pretty juicy tactic. So knight h5, an important move which a lot of people tend to forget about. E3 here, very key move. Gonna take back with a pawn. Oh, also hitting the knight. Pay attention. Do not forget that we attack the knight, as my opponent just did. And queen b4 check. We just have c3. Knight is defended. Remember this idea, guys? Like, whenever they check you and the knight is defended, you can play c3 in a variety of positions. Because I noticed as a pattern, like a lot of people tend to go back. Here they just forget about the knight being defended. But no, you have c3, I guess. Now, c3 gotta calculate a bit. So queen b2, knight c7, king d8. I think that allows tiny bit of counterplay. Yeah. I think the play c3, queen b2, and then just move the rook. There is queen d1, maybe, which can be played for like safety measures. But also rook d1, I think, may just be good enough. I think rook d1 is just about right. Pretty much. I'm gonna do rook d1. Also, we have threat of playing queen e2. Simply forcing queens off. So in case he plays something like bishop e6, you could do knight c7, take the rook. But I'm gonna try to show how mature of a player we can be and just, you know, be okay with what we already have and no need to go for more material. We're already having an extra piece. You just need to make sure he does not get any weird counterplay with that annoying queen in your camp, and you should be good to go. So hopefully that opens up your eyes, because it is pretty useful to have your eyes open as you play chess. Just by doing that, you can gain hundreds of points. So I bet you already subscribe to the channel because of that. Little tip, pretty pro tip, which you only will get on channels like this one. So just gonna develop. Okay, he hits the pawn. Do we care about the pawn? Of course not. We have an extra piece. So just make sure you get developed and you avoid all the nonsense. Stop being ultra materialistic. Uh, yeah, can we go rook to c1? Yeah, I think we just play e4, basically. Just go for the pawn lever. When the king is in the middle, just exposing that. Targeting d5. I think his only move to try to hang on is d4, but we have a bunch of interesting ways to deal with that. Okay, knight b4 can just get rid of it. Can also do takes, can also do bishop e5, just exchanging more pieces. I think a3, just eliminating the key defender of the d5 pawn and literally taking it on the very next move. So, okay, knight to c2, gonna be grabbing that, and yeah, taking with a rook seems about right. King to e1, okay, opponent still playing on. I don't really mind. Need to initiate those trades. Bishop e5, targeting rook and bishop, kind of forcing him to take. So notice while I'm converting, I really look for the most kind of clear-cut ways of doing something. So activating pieces that are not in game while constantly looking for ways to exchange pieces, specifically without, um, let's say, making any concessions. So the biggest mistake that low-rated players tend to make is that they kind of overdo the exchanging thing, and they end up misplacing their pieces. And yeah, don't worry about the check, because there is both bishop move back. So yeah, we want to trade, but not to a degree where it's like kind of a negative trade. So I don't know what to compare it with. Let's say you're basically just trying to exchange money, but you have a very bad course to trade. So you're just losing money when you do it. So yeah, not sure that was the best analogy, but it was really best I could come up with at the moment. So yeah, we want to do those trades, but keep a good position in the same time. Especially if you're comfortable and you're not being any under pressure. Like, fine, it's okay to make concessions uh, when you're under pressure. Problem is that most of the times your opponent has no threats, and you literally make these bad moves unforced. Basically, you can think of them like unforced errors in tennis. You know, it's like, let's say you do a double fault. For a professional player to do a double fault, it's, not good. Just giving away 3 points like that. That's the same with low-rated players that, okay, it's good you're in the right mindset of exchanging as you're winning, but make sure not to overdo it. Because then you come up on the channel and you're like, why am I not able to win this game and I still try to trade all the pieces just like you do? Well, I think that has to do a little bit with it. Just, yeah. Don't trade your best pieces for your opponent's worst pieces. I think that will sum it up. And now we get to checkmate the real Magnus Carlsen. Here we have it. All right. Okay. Can't see much about this game. E5 decisive mistake, and then rest is pretty simple. The only quick mention that I want to do is on knight e4 there is beautiful tactic with queen d5, and if they take there is knight fork regaining the piece, and white wins. So with that being said, I think we can move on to the following game. All right, everybody, getting another white game. Gonna be sticking with our beloved Jobava London. I was about to say. Turns out our opponent has something different in mind, and when he plays d6, it is typically gonna be the Eric Rosen trap, meaning, I guess, he'll play 97 there, but we don't know. Oh yeah, here we go again. So in this position, you can pretty much do anything but taking that knight. So this one, probably already know it. If you're watching this video precisely, you may have fallen for this in the past, and black wins. Yeah, I'm gonna even type him. Good try. I saw the just to troll him, Levi Rosman video. Gonna go knight c3. I mean, there's probably better moves. I was not paying attention to the board. I mean, bishop f4 is reasonable too. So he just takes it. Okay, we are up a pawn. We're playing the England. We are up a pawn. What could go wrong? Right. Yeah. So first of all, I'd like to not box in my bishop. That's maybe first mistake people do. So e3 is small inaccuracy. e4 you can do as well. I'll just do e4. It's a nice move. He said almost everyone did. Oh my god, I just sound so bad in the chat with my opponent. But okay, let's zoom in the important stuff. Plays knight g6. I'm just gonna activate his knight. I'm hopefully not getting mated. Yeah. F4 e5, that's winning if we can get it. Bishop e3, e5, that would be pretty nice. Bishop e3. So he goes knight c6, trap e80. I cannot take because of intermediate move. Just gonna try and complete development. Hopefully he's not gonna be having any additional threats. I mean, I don't really think he has. So probably playing it this way. Notice that this type of ideas allow 95 with a tempo. So for this reason he plays queen e8, kind of prophylactic. Yeah, so I guess his main point is to play rook d8 next. Taking is nice because it's forcing trades, so I'll just take. Just to go bishop takes, and we just play up a pawn. Oh, or he forgets about the bishop. So, yeah, take his rook too. Taking literally everything, and yeah, okay, I'm gonna attack his bishop. If he doesn't want to take, we'll grab even more material. Fine by me. This should feel good for those that are watching, especially if you lost against the England in the past. I mean, I guess I kind of doubt that. Who loses against the England? It's a pretty bad opening, right? So, just gonna do rook c1, hitting the bishop, and finds the resign button. So, pretty easy stuff to warm up with. Just remember to not take that knight, because yeah, d7, bishop f2, you already know the drill. Black wins. It's pretty funny. I had a student at some point. He did not even capture the knight. He thought he's being smart and took on c7. And then now the same while not even winning the knight was pretty hilarious. So with that being said, I think we can move on to the following game.